One of the most overlooked elements of public speaking is how a speech is constructed. Students and professionals alike give presentations with little thought concerning structure or the time given to the speaker. Speakers who do not organize their presentation effectively often go over or under time given, are susceptible to greater speaker apprehension, and are viewed as unprepared or unorganized by their audience. This video will demonstrate the main elements of organization, their purposes, and why they are needed. To begin, let's discuss what main elements are needed to organize an effective presentation. First, we need to start with our global structure. This type of structure refers to the main building blocks of any organization used for a presentation. Whether we are presenting for a special occasion, informing, or persuading, three main elements should always be used: an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. While organizing your speech, the first thing you should do is organize the body of your speech. The body should consist of 2 to 3 main points that make up your thesis. With the body, you are telling your audience what are the main points of your presentation. You should always remember to organize this first, as your introduction and conclusion must match what is in the body of your presentation. The introduction's purpose is to set the tone of the presentation. Much like any paper you write, you must always give the audience ideas for what your speech consists of. This way, the audience knows what the presentation is about and can follow along easily and coherently. Additionally, people often remember the first thing a person says while giving a long list of information to a listener. Therefore, it is important for an audience to be engaged during this segment. The conclusion gives the audience a sense that the speech has come to an end. Too often, presenters say things like, "That's about it," or "That's all I got," which gives ineffective closure. The audience should know that your presentation is done by your concluding remarks. Much like your introduction, audiences will remember recent information. Therefore, the conclusion acts as your last opportunity to make a lasting impression. We briefly mentioned that the body of your speech should have 2 to 3 main points. You may have a ton of content to choose from and may not have much time to present, so concept map the main points that you feel are the strongest argument to support your thesis. To do this, find a topic that is specific enough to cover for the duration of your speech. Remember to include sub-main points, as these act as the details of your main points. With main points and sub-main points, it is imperative to remember that these are strong statements backed up by evidence. When organizing a speech, do not use a citation or a quote as a main point. Those will act as evidence to your claims, but do not encompass an entire argument. Furthermore, the body of your speech should be around 75% of your speech. Introductions often have 5 main statements that are needed to successfully achieve its microstructure. Your attention getter, which can be stories, quotes, statistics, questions, humor, etc. The idea here is to create hunger and make your audience wanting to know where the presentation will go next. Next, you should develop a thesis. A thesis statement is just that, a statement. It demonstrates a short sentence for what your presentation is about. An example from our concept map could be, "Bullying is hard to avoid at any establishment, but it is our duty to make sure we know how to intervene when it happens." Third, you need to create relevance. Understand that your audience may not have a clue what your speech means. Therefore, demonstrate why this presentation is useful to them. Fourth, give a statement of credibility. Demonstrate to your audience why you are the expert on this topic. Be sure to include this because if an audience does not perceive you as knowledgeable or trustworthy, they may have a lower inclination to listen. Lastly, offer a preview of your 3 main points. This way, your audience is very clear on what you will be speaking about. Your introduction should only take up 15% of your presentation time. The conclusion's microstructure works very similar to the introductions, except in reverse. First, provide a transition that indicates that your presentation is coming to a close. Next, state your 3 main points again. Keep the ideas of your presentation fresh in your audience's mind. State your thesis and make sure the audience knows that this speech is relevant to them. Then give the audience closure. It's usually preferred to include something that has been said from the introduction or body of your speech to remind your audience what elements need to be remembered. The final statement can also be stories, quotes, statistics, questions, or humor, to name a few. The conclusion should only take up 10% of your presentation, so practice it out loud to see how much time you used.